Back when I was a youth pastor, I had 3 high school age guys staying in our basement one night. I wanted to scare the crap out of them, so I made up a story that I now call The Basement Ghost Man. Now, the best way to make up a story is to start with something true and then wrap the story around that truth. And the truth was that when I first had moved into my house, I'd gone down to the basement, opened the doors that led to the water heater and furnace, and then something swishes past my head and lands on the floor next to me. I look down. I promise you, there was a 3-foot cross that had fallen out of the unfinished closet ceiling. It was fleck-coated gray metal over concrete, something you would imagine would be attached to the side of a crypt. It was freaky as all mess, and I got rid of it. So that's the truth. So I told the 3 of them everything I just told you, but then I told them how in the following weeks, I would occasionally see things moved out of place, like a chair or the couch. And I started hearing little whispers that would sound something like, "Go away." So I told them I knew I'd heard something, and it wasn't from outside. It wasn't from someone in the house. It was that actual voice. And I knew that I had offended someone. So I decided that I would speak to the voice. I said, "What have I done?" And the voice said, "You must leave." When I first started telling the story, the guys were like, "Yeah, whatever. James is just messing with us." But as I started telling it, their eyes got bigger and bigger, and they sat up straight with their hands in their laps like a group of kindergartners waiting for the best story in the world. So I told the guys, I'm like, okay, that pretty much freaked me out when I heard the voice. So I stayed out of the basement for a couple days, but it's a finished basement. It's a part of the house. So I eventually go back downstairs. I start hearing hymns. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. At this point, these little Christian boys are getting really freaked out, but not quite enough. If you're not a church person, you may not know, but the hope of every Christian young person when it comes to the fight against evil is the name of Jesus. So I said, "Guys, I heard it mocking our songs. And I said, in the name of Jesus, I want you to leave. But I hear, that name means nothing to me." And holy crap, you'd have thought I just killed their parents. A full body shiver went through them because the name of Jesus is like the ultimate power. I told them, so guys, the only way that you can combat it, the only thing that seems to work against the spirit is to pray in tongues. And that confounds the enemy and it will leave for a time. I said, guys, you don't need to fear it. It doesn't even bother my wife. It's just me, so you probably won't hear anything at all. But if you do hear anything tonight, if you're down here and you start to sleep and you're hearing amazing grace, I suggest you speak in a prayer language. And if you don't have one, just make something up. I just jacked with everything that they held dear. My story was done, but as I left the room, I wanted there to be more. I went and got a small propane torch. And so here's what the boys on the other side of the door start to hear as I light it. I slowly open the door and all they see is this blue flame come dancing into the room. You couldn't hear a sound. I expected them to scream or something. So in a few seconds, I felt so guilty, I just flipped the light on. There was one large teenager hugging a very small one, as if both their lives depended on it. And the third was shivering on the couch with his head under the covers. I turned off the torch and we all had a good laugh, and I left them alone and let them sleep. The moral of the story is, James is evil. He lies like the devil lies. He takes the truth and wraps the lie around it. Don't stay at his house and don't listen to his stories. Whoops, you already did.